Admiral Kethvar stepped onto the raised platform in the center of the Zephyrian command ship. His dark green scales caught the light from the holographic displays that surrounded him. Behind him, massive screens showed images of burning cities and destroyed buildings. Smoke rose from what looked like Earth's greatest landmarks. "Begin the broadcast," he ordered his communications officer. The signal went out instantly. It traveled faster than light itself, reaching every inhabited world in the galaxy within seconds. Billions of alien beings across thousands of planets stopped what they were doing to watch. Kethvar's yellow eyes gleamed with pride. His long fingers, ending in sharp claws, gestured toward the images behind him. "Citizens of the galaxy, I bring you news of victory. The human threat has been eliminated forever." The images changed to show more destruction. Buildings lay in ruins. Streets were empty except for scattered debris. Everything looked dead and lifeless. "For too long, these humans have spread across our space like a disease," Kethvar continued. "They built colonies where they did not belong. They took resources that were not theirs. They refused to follow the laws that keep our galaxy peaceful." On the planet Zirion, thousands of blue-skinned Zerites gathered in their capital city's main square. They cheered and threw their arms in the air. Their leader, Chancellor Vex, smiled widely. "Finally, we can expand toward the Sol system without worry." The broadcast continued. Kethvar showed more footage of the supposed attack on Earth. Massive alien warships fired energy beams at the planet's surface. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers across the continents. The humans' defensive ships were shown being destroyed one by one. "This was not done in anger," Kethvar said, his voice becoming softer, almost gentle. "This was done for peace. The humans left us no choice. They would not stop their aggressive expansion. They would not listen to reason. Now, the galaxy is safe." But far below Earth's frozen surface, in a secret bunker hidden beneath the Siberian wilderness, the truth was very different. Commander Jiwon sat in his command chair, watching the alien broadcast on multiple screens. His dark hair was cut short in military style. His brown eyes showed no emotion as he listened to Kethvar's lies. Around him, dozens of human officers worked at their stations. The bunker was huge, with gleaming metal walls and advanced technology that would have surprised any alien who saw it. Rows of computers processed information from across the solar system. Officers in crisp blue uniforms moved between the workstations with quiet efficiency. Lieutenant Minho approached Jiwon's chair. He was young, maybe 25 years old, with quick intelligent eyes. He carried a data tablet in his hands. "Sir, I have the final report from all surface installations." "Go ahead," Jiwon said without looking away from the screens. "Every major city on Earth is showing as completely destroyed on alien sensors. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing, all reading as smoking ruins. The holographic projectors are working perfectly. Their scanners cannot detect the real cities underneath the false images." Jiwon nodded slowly. "What about civilian casualties?" "Zero, sir. Every citizen was evacuated to the underground cities months ago, just as planned. The surface is completely empty except for our projection equipment and sensor decoys." On the screens, Kethvar was still talking. He gestured to charts showing human population numbers dropping to zero. He displayed maps of former human colonies that were now free for other species to claim. "The human military fought bravely at the end," Kethvar said with what sounded like respect. "But their technology was too primitive. Their ships were too slow. Their weapons were too weak. In the final battle above Earth, the last human admiral sent a message of surrender before his ship was destroyed." Lieutenant Minho shook his head. "Admiral Park is safe in the Alpha Centauri Command Center, sir. His final message was completely fake, just like everything else they think they saw." Another officer approached. This was Captain Soyoung, the chief of intelligence. She was older than Minho, with gray streaks in her black hair and sharp features that missed nothing. "Commander, the final phase of the deception is ready to begin." "Explain," Jiwon said. "All our deep space monitoring stations have confirmed that alien forces are celebrating across the galaxy. Their military units are standing down. Their guard is completely lowered. Most importantly, they have stopped all surveillance of the Sol system. They think there is nothing left here to watch." Jiwon finally smiled, but it was not a happy expression. It was cold and calculating. "Perfect. Signal all stations. Begin radio silence protocol immediately. I want every human transmission stopped within the next hour." "Sir," Minho said, "that means no communication between Earth and our outer colonies. We will be completely cut off from each other." That is exactly what I want, Jiwon replied. From this moment forward, Earth does not exist as far as the galaxy is concerned. We are ghosts. We are shadows. And ghosts can move without being seen. The massive signal jamming array hidden beneath the Arctic ice began to power up. It was humanity's greatest secret weapon, a device that could block all electromagnetic signals in and out of the entire solar system. For the next phase of their plan to work, Earth had to become invisible. On his flagship, Admiral Kethvar finished his broadcast with a final declaration. Let this day be remembered as the beginning of true galactic peace. The human problem has been solved forever. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, alien species continued their celebrations. None of them noticed that all signals from the Sol system had suddenly stopped completely. In his underground command center, Jiwon watched the last alien probe disappear from their outer solar system scanners. Earth was now alone and hidden, exactly as planned. Phase 2 begins now, he announced to his officers. The real war was about to start. Admiral Kethvar stood in front of the main display screen on his command ship. The screen was completely black. Where the Sol system should have shown stars, planets, and the usual space traffic, there was nothing. Just empty darkness. He had been staring at this same empty screen for 3 weeks now. His scaled hands gripped the metal railing in front of him. His yellow eyes narrowed as he tried to understand what he was seeing, or rather, what he was not seeing. Officers Lix, he called to his communications specialist. Run another deep scan of the Sol system. The young Zephyrian officer worked quickly at his console. His fingers moved over the controls with practiced skill. After several minutes, he looked up with confusion on his face. Sir, the scanners show the same result as before. There is nothing there. No planets, no sun, no debris from our attack. It is like the entire solar system has been erased from space. Kethvar felt a cold sensation in his stomach. This was not possible. Solar systems did not just disappear. Even after destroying all life on the planets themselves should still be there. The sun should still be burning. Something was very wrong. What about our reconnaissance drones? He asked. Officers Lix checked his records. We have sent 17 drones toward the Sol system in the past 3 weeks, sir. All of them have been lost. Lost how? They reach the edge of where the solar system should begin, and then their signals simply stop. No explosion, no distress call, no debris. They just vanish as if they never existed. Kethvar turned to his tactical officer. Could this be some kind of natural phenomenon? A black hole perhaps? Negative, sir. Our gravity detectors would pick up a black hole from this distance. Also, the interference pattern is too regular, too controlled. This appears to be artificial. The Admiral felt his confidence beginning to crack. He had reported to the Galactic Council that humanity was completely extinct. He had received praise and rewards for solving the human problem. Now he was starting to wonder if he had made a terrible mistake. Send another probe, he ordered. This time, program it to stop just outside the interference zone and take detailed readings. Yes, sir. Launching probe 18 now. Far away from the Zephyrian fleet, deep beneath the bustling city of Sol, General Haiji sat in a command center that was even more advanced than the one in Siberia. The walls were covered with screens showing every part of space around Earth's solar system. She could see the alien fleets, their probe launches, even individual ships moving between distant star systems. Haiji was a woman in her 40s with sharp intelligent eyes and short black hair. She wore a simple military uniform, but the way other officers looked at her showed the deep respect they had for her abilities. She had been planning this operation for over a decade. Major Taiho, she said to the officer standing beside her chair. Report on our defensive systems. Major Taiho was a tall man with careful movements and a voice that never showed emotion. All stealth barriers are operating at full efficiency, General. The interference field completely surrounds our solar system. Nothing can see in from the outside. What about their latest probe? It will suffer the same fate as the others. As soon as it crosses the boundary, our automated systems will capture it and bring it inside for study. The aliens will see it simply vanish, just like all the rest. Haiji nodded with satisfaction. The stealth field was humanity's greatest achievement. It had taken 30 years to build, using technology stolen or traded from dozens of alien species. The field made their entire solar system invisible to outside sensors. Even better, it captured anything that tried to enter, making it seem like their probes were simply disappearing into empty space. Captain Sunwoo approached with a data tablet in her hands. She was younger than the others, but her skills in monitoring alien communications had made her invaluable to the operation. "General, I have the latest intelligence from our deep space listening posts," she reported. "What are the aliens doing?" Panic is starting to spread among several species. The Zephyrians have increased their patrol schedules by 300%. The Zerites have moved 2 entire fleets to the edge of what used to be human space. The Kethtai are demanding answers from Admiral Kethvar about what happened to the Sol system. Haiji allowed herself a small smile. They are beginning to realize that something is wrong. Yes, their communications show growing fear. Many are starting to question whether humans were really destroyed. Some are suggesting that the empty space where our solar system should be might be some kind of trap. Major Taiho looked at the displays showing alien fleet movements. Their fear is making them sloppy. They are moving ships in predictable patterns, concentrating forces in obvious locations. This will make the next phase much easier. What about our own preparations? Haiji asked. The new ship construction is ahead of schedule. Our weapons testing has exceeded all expectations. Most importantly, our intelligence network throughout alien space is now complete. We have agents or monitoring devices in every major alien system. Captain Sun Wu added, "The aliens think they are watching empty space, but we are watching everything they do. We know their ship positions, their patrol routes, their communication codes, even their supply schedules." Haiji stood up and walked to the main display. It showed a 3-dimensional map of nearby space. Hundreds of red dots represented alien ships and bases. All of them were marked with detailed information about their capabilities and weaknesses. 30 years ago, they saw us as primitive creatures who had just learned to travel between stars, she said quietly. They treated us like children who needed to be controlled and guided. When we refused to obey their rules, they decided to eliminate us. She turned back to her officers. They made one critical mistake. They assumed that because our technology looked simple, we were not capable of learning and growing. They never imagined that we were studying them just as carefully as they were studying us. Major Taiho nodded. Every piece of alien technology we could acquire was analyzed and improved. Every weakness in their defenses was catalogued and remembered. Every mistake they made was turned into our advantage. Now they are afraid, Haiji continued. They sense that something is wrong, but they do not know what. Fear will make them make more mistakes. And we will be ready to take advantage of every single one. On the main screen, another red dot appeared as the 18th Zephyrian probe crossed into their territory and immediately vanished from alien sensors. The hunt was about to begin. The first attack happened on a Tuesday morning, Galactic Standard Time. The Zephyrian supply depot on Kepler Station was a small facility on the edge of civilized space. It stored fuel, food, and basic equipment for military patrols in that sector. The station had a crew of 43 aliens and no defensive weapons beyond basic shields. At 0847 hours, all communication from Kepler Station stopped. The automated distress beacon went silent. The station's energy signature disappeared from long-range sensors. It was as if the entire facility had simply been erased from existence. Admiral Kethvar received the report 3 hours later while eating his morning meal. He barely looked up from his food tray when his aide delivered the news. "Probably pirates," he said with a dismissive wave of his clawed hand. "The Rim worlds are always having trouble with raiders. Send a patrol ship to investigate and file the usual reports." 2 days later, it happened again. A Zephyrian patrol squadron of 4 ships was traveling between the Altair and Vega systems when they vanished. One moment they were reporting normal status, the next moment there was complete silence. Search and rescue teams found no debris, no distress signals, no trace that the ships had ever existed. Admiral Kethvar was starting to feel uncomfortable, but he still tried to convince himself these were normal problems. Space was dangerous. Ships sometimes had accidents. Pirates were getting bolder. These things happened in a galaxy with billions of inhabited worlds. But then the attacks began to accelerate. A communications relay station went dark. A fuel processing plant stopped responding. A military research facility lost all contact with the outside universe. Each time, there were no survivors, no witnesses, no evidence of what had happened. "Sir," his intelligence officer reported during the weekly briefing, "we now have 17 separate incidents across 4 different star systems. The pattern is becoming clear." Admiral Kethvar studied the holographic display showing the locations of all the attacks. They formed a rough circle around the area where human space used to be. His yellow eyes narrowed as he began to see the truth he had been trying to avoid. "Show me any surveillance footage we have," he ordered. The hologram flickered and changed. Grainy security camera footage appeared, showing the last moments of the communications relay station. At first, everything looked normal. Then, without warning, streaks of energy came from empty space. The weapons were precise and controlled. They destroyed only the communication equipment and power systems. The aliens inside the station were left alive but trapped. Enhance the image, HFY commanded. I want to see what fired those weapons. The computer worked to improve the picture quality. Slowly, a faint outline became visible against the stars. It was sleek and angular, unlike any ship design in the galactic database. The vessel seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, making it nearly invisible even when they knew where to look. That is not a pirate ship, HFY said quietly. Pirates do not have technology that advanced. Meanwhile, millions of miles away, Commander Junho stood on the bridge of the Silent Storm and watched his crew prepare for their next mission. His ship was one of 12 vessels in humanity's new Ghost Fleet. Each ship was a masterpiece of stealth technology, built using secrets stolen from every major alien species over the past 30 years. The bridge was small and efficient. Every surface was covered with displays showing tactical information, enemy positions, and system status. The crew worked in near silence, their movements precise and practiced. They had trained for this moment for years. Junho was a man in his 30s with calm eyes and steady hands. He had been chosen to command this mission because of his ability to stay cool under pressure and make quick decisions. Around him, his officers prepared for what would be their most dangerous attack yet. Lieutenant Nari sat at the weapons control station. She was young but deadly accurate with the ship's advanced targeting systems. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she locked onto their target. "Sir," she reported, "I have acquired the Zephyrian military installation on Proxima Base. Scanners show minimal civilian presence. Most of the facility appears to be dedicated to weapons research and military training." Junho studied the tactical display. The base was heavily defended with energy shields and automated weapon systems. Under normal circumstances, it would take a full battle fleet to assault such a target. But the Silent Storm was not a normal ship. "What is our stealth status?" he asked his navigation officer. "We are completely invisible to their sensors, sir. The new light-bending technology is working perfectly. Even if they look directly at us, we will appear to be empty space." "Excellent. Lieutenant Nari, prepare for precision strikes. I want their communications disabled first, then their defensive systems. Remember, we leave the life support systems intact. We are not murderers." "Understood, sir. Weapons are charged and ready." Junho took a deep breath. This was the moment when humanity would announce to the galaxy that they were not extinct. But they would do it in a way that would create maximum fear and confusion among their enemies. Fire. The Silent Storm's weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They combined Zephyrian energy technology with Zerite precision targeting and HFY stealth capabilities. The beams of energy that shot from the invisible ship were focused and controlled with surgical precision. The first shots took out the base's communication array. The aliens inside suddenly found themselves cut off from the outside universe. The second volley destroyed their defensive weapons, leaving them helpless. The third attack disabled their power systems, plunging the facility into darkness. But the life support systems continued to function. The aliens inside were alive but trapped and terrified. In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Borum treated Ensign Kiwon for a minor burn on his hand. The injury had happened when a control panel overloaded during the attack sequence. "These new ships are incredible," she said as she applied healing gel to the wound. "But the technology is almost too advanced for our own good. Our own systems sometimes cannot handle the power we are generating." Commander Junho appeared in the doorway. "We will adapt," he said simply. "We always do. That is what makes us human." The Silent Storm disappeared back into the darkness of space, leaving behind another mystery for the aliens to puzzle over. The hunter had become the hunted, and the galaxy was starting to realize that humanity was far from extinct. Admiral HFY sat in his private office aboard his flagship, staring at a data tablet that shook in his scaled hands. The report had arrived just minutes ago, but he had already read it 5 times. Each time he hoped the words would change, but they remained the same, spelling out a truth that made his blood run cold. His aide, a young Zephyrian named Vex, stood nervously by the door. The young officer's green skin had turned pale with fear. He had been the one to deliver the terrible news, and now he waited for his admiral's reaction. "Sir," Vex said quietly, "the intelligence division is certain about their findings. They have triple-checked all the data." Kethvar set down the tablet and looked up with eyes full of growing panic. Explain it to me again. Slowly. Make sure I understand every detail. Vex cleared his throat and began to read from his own notes. 3 days ago, our long-range listening posts intercepted several brief radio transmissions from the direction of the Sol system. The signals were heavily encrypted, but our computers eventually broke the code. And what did these transmissions contain? Routine communications between human military units, sir. Supply requests, patrol schedules, maintenance reports. The kind of normal messages you would expect from an active military force. Kethvar felt his stomach twist into knots. But that is impossible. We destroyed all human forces 3 weeks ago. No sir, Vex said, his voice barely above a whisper. According to the intelligence analysis, we did not. The destruction we witnessed was completely false. The smoking cities were holographic projections. The exploding ships were empty drones designed to look like real vessels. Even the human survivors we saw crying and begging for mercy were actors following a script. The tablet slipped from Kethvar's hands and clattered to the floor. He stared at the wall in shock, trying to process what he was hearing. Everything he had reported to the Galactic Council was a lie. Everything he had celebrated was a deception. How long have they been planning this? He asked. The intercepted communications suggest this operation has been in preparation for decades, sir. They have been allowing us to believe they were primitive and weak while secretly studying our technology and building their own advanced systems. Kethvar stood up and began pacing around his office. His claws clicked against the metal floor with each step. His mind raced as he tried to understand the full implications of this discovery. The attacks on our outer bases, he said suddenly. Those were not pirates. Those were humans. Yes, sir. The intelligence division believes the humans have been using stealth technology far beyond anything we possess. They have been striking our facilities to test their new weapons and gather more intelligence about our defenses. And we have been completely blind to all of this. Yes, sir. Far from the Zephyrian fleet, in the massive orbital shipyards hidden behind Earth's moon, Admiral Seojun walked through the construction bays with the pride of a parent watching his children grow up. Around him, dozens of sleek warships hung in various stages of completion. Each vessel was a work of art and engineering that combined the best technologies from across the galaxy. Seojun was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen many battles. He had been planning this moment for most of his adult life. As the head of humanity's secret military development program, he had overseen the construction of the most advanced fleet the galaxy had ever known. Captain Yuna walked beside him, occasionally stopping to examine details of the ship construction. She was younger than Seojun but equally experienced in military strategy. Her job was to train the crews who would operate these incredible machines. The final ships will be ready within the week, she reported. We will have 200 vessels of various classes. Each one is equipped with technology that surpasses anything the aliens currently possess. Seojun nodded with satisfaction. Show me the latest test results. They stopped in front of a massive warship that gleamed under the construction bay lights. The vessel was beautiful in a deadly way, with smooth curves and angular surfaces that seemed to bend light around them. Engineer Heian approached from the ship's interior, carrying a thick folder of technical reports. She was a brilliant woman who had spent her career reverse engineering alien technology and improving upon it. Admiral, she said with excitement in her voice, the quantum drive tests exceeded all our expectations. These ships can travel faster than anything else in known space. They can accelerate to maximum speed in seconds and change direction instantly without the crew feeling any stress. What about weapons systems? Yuna asked. We have incorporated energy weapon technology from 12 different alien species, Heian replied. But we have not simply copied their designs. We have combined and improved them. Our main weapons can punch through any known shield system. Our secondary weapons are more accurate than anything the aliens have ever built. Seojun walked closer to examine the ship's hull. The metal surface seemed to shift and change color as he moved, like oil on water. Tell me about the defensive systems. The armor plating uses adaptive metallurgy we learned from studying captured Kethtai vessels, Heian explained. It can harden or soften depending on the type of attack. Energy weapons will find it nearly impossible to penetrate, and physical projectiles will simply bounce off. And the shields? Based on Zephyrian energy matrix technology, but we have made significant improvements. Our shields can absorb enemy fire and convert it into power for our own weapons. The more they shoot at us, the stronger we become. Captain Yuna shook her head in amazement. 30 years ago, When they first made contact with us, they treated us like children who had just learned to walk. They thought we were too primitive to be a real threat. That was their mistake, Seo-jun said quietly. They saw our simple technology and assumed we were simple people. They never imagined that we were capable of learning and growing and becoming something entirely new. Hyun looked out at the vast fleet surrounding them. They wanted to eliminate humanity because they thought we were dangerous when we were weak and primitive. Wait until they see what we have become now that we are strong and advanced. They created their own worst nightmare, Seo-jun agreed. They pushed us into hiding, gave us motivation to improve ourselves, and provided us with samples of their technology to study. Instead of destroying humanity, they have created something far more dangerous than we ever could have become on our own. The three humans stood in silence for a moment, looking at the incredible machines they had built. Soon, these ships would leave their hiding places and show the galaxy that humanity was not only alive, but had evolved into something the aliens could never have imagined. The student was about to become the teacher, and the lesson would be one the galaxy would never forget. The silence that had surrounded the Sol system for 3 weeks ended at exactly 1200 hours, Galactic Standard Time. It did not end gradually or quietly. It ended with the most powerful communication signal ever broadcast in the history of the galaxy. On Zirion Prime, Chancellor Vex was in the middle of a celebration dinner when every screen in the restaurant suddenly flickered to life. The cheerful music stopped. The holographic entertainers vanished. In their place, a human face appeared. On Zephyria Central, Admiral Kethvar was reviewing patrol reports in his ready room when his personal communication device activated without his permission. The report disappeared, replaced by the same human transmission that was now playing across every inhabited world in known space. On the mining stations of the Kethtai Republic, workers stopped their drilling machines as the broadcast took over their work displays. In the luxury districts of the Altrian Empire, wealthy aliens paused their shopping as the message interrupted their personal entertainment systems. Every communication array, every television screen, every data pad, every holographic display in the galaxy was now showing the same image. It was a feat of technology that should have been impossible. No single species had the power to override every communication system simultaneously across such vast distances. Admiral Seo-jun stood in what appeared to be the command center of a massive warship. He was a tall man with steel-gray hair and eyes that seemed to look directly at each person watching. His military uniform was simple but perfectly fitted. His posture was straight and confident. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. "Citizens of the galaxy," he began, his tone calm and measured, but somehow more terrifying than if he had been shouting, "You celebrated too early." Behind him, 3 other human officers stood at attention. Captain Yuna, Engineer Hyun, and Major Minho were positioned precisely, their faces showing no emotion. But their presence added weight to Seo-jun's words. These were not desperate survivors begging for mercy. These were military professionals who had come to deliver a message. The camera angles slowly began to pull back, revealing more of the space around Seo-jun. What had seemed like a simple command center was actually the bridge of something much larger. Through massive viewing windows behind the humans, the shapes of other vessels became visible. Admiral Kethvar leaned forward in his chair, his yellow eyes widening with growing horror. Those ships in the background were unlike anything in the galactic databases. They were sleek and angular, with surfaces that seemed to bend light around them. Their design suggested speed and power far beyond conventional understanding. "You declared us extinct," Seo-jun continued, his voice never changing in tone or volume, "but death has always been humanity's greatest teacher. You wanted to eliminate us from the galaxy. Instead, you have made us its apex predator." The camera continued to pull back, and the true scope of what the galaxy was seeing became clear. The human fleet stretched in all directions, far beyond what the viewing screen could contain. Hundreds of vessels hung in perfect formation, each one radiating technological advancement that made even the most modern alien ships look primitive by comparison. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Kethvar felt his breathing become shallow and rapid. His hands gripped the armrests of his command chair so tightly that his claws left scratches in the metal. This was not possible. No species could have built such a fleet in secret. No one could have developed technology this advanced without being detected. But the evidence was right in front of his eyes, broadcasting to every corner of the galaxy. "For too long, you have treated humanity as a curiosity, a pest, an obstacle to your expansion," Seo-jun's broadcast continued. "You saw our simple ships and assumed we were simple people. You watched our basic technology and decided we were not worth your respect. The display changed to show close-up views of the human warships. Weapons systems that defied physics. Defensive shields that seemed to warp space itself. Engines that could apparently bend the laws of reality. Each technological marvel was more impossible than the last. We allowed you to believe these things because it served our purposes. While you dismissed us as primitive, we studied every aspect of your civilizations. We learned from your strengths and your weaknesses. We took your best technologies and made them better. Far below Earth's surface, in the command center beneath Sol, General Haiji monitored the broadcast's reach across the galaxy. Banks of computers tracked the signal as it reached every inhabited star system. Status lights showed green as the message was confirmed received on thousands of different worlds. Signal strength is holding steady across all sectors, reported her communications officer. Every species in the galactic database is receiving the transmission clearly. Excellent, Haiji replied. Are we tracking their responses? Yes, ma'am. Panic is spreading rapidly through alien command structures. Several species have already placed their military forces on highest alert status. On the main broadcast, Admiral Seojun gestured toward something off-camera. The view shifted to show a three-dimensional star map displaying coordinates scattered across neutral space. Each point was marked with precise navigation data and meeting times. You have 7 standard days to send your surrender delegations to the designated locations, Seojun announced. These representatives will have full authority to negotiate on behalf of your species. They will come unarmed and prepared to discuss the new reality of galactic politics. The star map disappeared, replaced once again by Seojun's calm, confident face. Refuse this offer, and discover what humanity learned during our silence. We spent 3 weeks watching you celebrate our supposed extinction. Now we invite you to experience what extinction actually means. The transmission ended abruptly. Every screen in the galaxy went dark at the same instant, leaving billions of alien beings sitting in stunned silence. Admiral Kethvar stared at his blank communication display for a full minute before his paralyzed vocal cords allowed him to speak. Officer's Licks, he called weakly to his communications specialist. Are we receiving any other transmissions? Yes, sir, came the trembling reply. We have urgent messages coming in from 17 different species. They are all asking the same thing. Which is? They want us to negotiate with the humans on their behalf, sir. They are offering to surrender their military forces to Zephyrian Command if we can protect them from humanity. Kethvar closed his eyes and tried to process this information. 3 weeks ago, he had been the conqueror of humanity. Today, terrified alien species were begging him to save them from the very beings he had claimed to destroy. The hunter had become the hunted, and humanity had returned not as the defeated species the galaxy had mourned, but as its new master.